Contract management. This is the last process in our supporting processes. So what is contract management? Well, it deals with the process to ensure that the project follows all the conditions, regulations, specifications, clauses, and fulfillment of all contractual obligations. Not only the contract with the donor, but also the contract that the project is going to be doing for the provision of goods and services with different vendors or consultants. Here are the 4 steps in contract management. Contract planning, that is having understanding of the requirements of the contracts, requirements of the donor, the areas, the clauses that are important for the project, understanding if there are any risks in that contract. Contract administration is the process when you're going to be then contracting services for the delivery of goods or even additional consulting services to the project, and administering all that process from the terms of references to the revision of the quotes from the different vendors and this approval and then administration of that process. Monitoring means that make sure that you're getting the goods and services as they were specified in the terms of reference. So you're monitoring that the goods are delivered as they were expected, that the services are complying with the requirements that you set up at the beginning. And then updating the contracts. There are many opportunities to make changes and improvements to the contract so they can benefit the project. So they make sure that you have a process that will get you and get all those updates and modifications to the contracts. Here's a tool that is used to manage all the procurement. The Procurement Matrix helps you identify all the procurement needs. One of the characteristics of this matrix is that it's not just a shopping list. It's a list based on all the activities and the WBA code that you already identify in your project plan. So every activity may or may not need the procurement either of goods or services. When they do, you need to list them in this matrix. In addition to that, you need to identify the type of mode of procurement, whether it's going to be a public bidding, whether it's going to be a direct purchasing. You need to understand that in many cases, those need to align with specific contract specifications that you got either from the donor or the organization that's funding your project. There are going to be specific requirements about how you're going to use that money. The estimate dates for that procurement process is also important. That's opportunity to for conversations with the procurement officers or the people in charge in your organization to help you procure all these goods or services, so they understand your constraints in your time. You have a schedule to meet, so you need to make sure that they also have a good understanding and they have the time to do all that process. And an estimated budget, that's your baseline. That's going to be the limits by which those procurement officers are going to be using it to help you get the goods and services that the project needs. Here are some basic recommendations in contract management. Understand the contract, not only in terms of the clauses and the limitations and what is allowed and what is not, but also make sure that your team and the people who are going to be involved in the work in the project also understand those contract clauses. When you are contracting services or goods with vendors or consultants, make sure that you spend the time and an effort to define good terms and specifications. Those terms and specifications are going to be critical to help you select the best provider for goods or services, but also make sure that they are giving you the best value for your money. Manage those vendor relationships. Understand that they are going through the process. They need to have a good understanding of the project so they understand what you need from them, and that creates opportunities for them to improve and provide you with the goods and services that you need. Document all changes. That is important. There's always opportunities to make changes and corrections to contracts. And adding those, they need to be well documented in written so that you don't have any problems later when the project is going to be going through an audit and seeing that there is a difference between what you are procuring and the things that were not allowed in the contract. So if there's going to be any changes on the contracts, both with the contract with the donor or contract with the different vendors or suppliers, they are documented. If you need help, always you can look at for maybe the legal counsel of your organization or people who have more knowledge about it, but have an understanding of what your contract means, if there are any risk, and then identify the opportunities maybe to improve that contract or make sure that you have a good handle of all those contract requirements.